Good Meridian. How is everyone doing today? Get this microphone set up in a good position here. All right. Oh my goodness. Got cold temperatures coming in here to Austin right now. I think it's already, I think yesterday the high was 54 and we've dropped down to 27 degrees right now. It's headed down to 15. So yeah, we're gonna dip down pretty low tonight. Let's talk about some DeFi Kingdoms. That'll warm our hearts. Let's see. One of the things that I think I want to talk about is some notes, perhaps. Do we want to put that right there, maybe? All right. Sabu, how are you doing today? Let's just move this over to here, I guess. It's fine. Maybe we can make that window a little bit bigger. How are you doing today, Zabu? You get your proper allotment in the jeweler in time? In S-Jewel? For the snapshot and the raffles. Let's see here. I think the first thing I want to do is look at the market today. This is a Thursday, December the 22nd. And let's just see where everything stands. I think I took yesterday off, not intentionally. It just happened that way, I think. So I haven't seen the market in the last couple of days. Let's just do a refresh on this and see where we're at. So it looks like for the past month we're down overall in the more macroeconomic view. If we're looking at gold specifically and recently, let's see where it's at here. So if we're looking again at what, last month, I guess. Looks like gold's been climbing up a little bit. We're back up to $1,790. That's pretty good from our low a few months ago. Of course, we are still a little worried, but it looks like we are up above that peak, and that's one thing we were looking at for a while. So, I might have missed my opportunity right there to get in low. I still am a little concerned about a little bit more of the trend for long term. We don't want to get ourselves in a position like here where it was down for many years. Right in here. So we'll have to see how it goes. But very interesting. Okay. Sardo, how you doing, Sardo? Sabu says, doing well. Hope you're well also. Yes, I did maybe about 1.5 thousand S-Jewel. Nice. Very cool. I think that'll be a good amount of potential raffle tickets. Sergeant Phil the Nasty in the house, lurking while running errands. Doing well. Hope you are rocking. Yes, indeed. So let's take a look at some of our cryptocurrencies charts, I guess. Let's see how they're doing today. Looks like Bitcoin is currently at 16,784. And if we zoom out a little bit, then we've taken a little bit of a dip since December the 14th, 13th, 14th highs right there. But if we look at a little bit more broad picture since FTX collapse, then we're kind of right in line with that. Maybe we're up a little bit from an average down here, but not by much. So 16,784 is where we're at right now. I do think we're going to be going lower over the next several months. I continue to hear on a broader global economic scale vision that we're still in for more downside to the market. The US Fed is still planning to be raising interest rates even more and through next year. And I've heard through Coin Bureau, I don't know if y'all have seen one of Coin Bureau's latest videos, that it looked like there were some things that was maybe not priced in, and maybe that's why we're continuing to see downward trends in the S&P 500, which is currently looking at about 3,800. I continue to hear housing market's going to have some issues and just a bunch of other stuff as well. So all of that pressure that the Fed is going to put on interest rates and so on, it is really going to have an effect on the market. One of the things, if y'all have not seen the Coin Bureau video from a day or two ago, definitely take a look at it. He really brings home some of the wording and the phrasing from the Fed chair, of course, not wanting to put people into panic. And so the words that they use are, they kind of skirt the questions, it seems, and so on. But Guy over there at Coin Bureau really calls them out and says, hey, what these guys are really saying is they're trying to crash the market. And of course, that is what's happening, right? You got the Fed realizing that our inflation rates are too high, they're still going up, and the way to correct that is to cause economic pain. And so that's what they're trying to do on purpose. And it might sound bad, but we cannot let the economy just, grow rampantly. And so you've got to put some kind of brakes on, and unfortunately it's going to be painful. Personally, I would much rather see a ripping of the Band-Aid, right? And so really sharp pain very quickly. I guess that's not really a good thing if I were to think about it a little bit longer. Sudden instant pain is usually a lot harder to deal with than a slow, longer term pain that you end up finding other ways to manage, but you kind of ease into these new ways to manage that. So it's probably better, but I'm a little impatient about the market. I'd rather just get it over with so we can move on. But it is what it is. So it looks like we're going to see a lot longer time of slower declines. And so anyway, the point is, be ready for it in crypto. It's probably going to have some downtrend in crypto as well. I'm not sure, even at these great prices right now, I'm not sure it's best to ape all in. I guess that's what I'm really getting at, guys. Be careful. So let's see. Sordo says, I degened way too much, money is tight. Yes, yeah, that's part of the problem, right? I think some of the values right now, some of the price points on a lot of crypto and a lot of things in general probably are really good right now. So it's super easy to dump more in thinking, oh man, we're at the bottom. And we could possibly be, but I don't think so. So definitely be careful. And money is tight. I hear you with that. Money is very tight for me too. I can't help but put a little bit more in, a little bit more in. Still unsure I should summon a bit or not. Man, so Sardo, all I can say to that is, you know your specific situation a lot better than anybody else, right? if you can afford to summon a couple of times, would a few raffles tickets be better than 0? I'm gonna say, since Bullon was talking about the Crystal Veil raffles, 10% of the winners went to people who had summoned 4 times or less. I would say, why not just shoot for that? Something like that, right? But at the same time, I mean, if you don't want to do that, I'll, think that's probably fine too. Also means more opportunities for those of us that are summoning. Of course, I'm going to do a few summons, not very many, but I guess I would be remiss to say, hey, you should probably shoot for it. Like I said, you know your situation better than I do. Something else to be said is the likelihood of anyone winning is still very, very small. And so if you'd rather not take the gamble, I definitely don't want anyone to feel judged about that, right? I mean, I did a lot of things in Crystal Veil to really get a good chance at getting a Gen 0 and did not at all, right? And in multiple accounts as well, and did not get any of it, right? So it's hard to say that if you try, you're going to get something. It's absolutely not true. And maybe that money would be better put into a high yield APR garden, right? So rather than summon 5 times, if you took those funds and put it into a high yield garden for a couple of months, then you'd end up with maybe better outcome, right? I think I did some math at one time that said even if you took some small amount of money and put it into the gardens at the APRs that we've had for a while, and keep in mind, one of the things that we want to do also when we're talking about putting money into gardens and all that kind of stuff, sometimes we might feel that the APRs are pretty high right now, or this is in Crystal Veil, this isn't even in Serendale. But I mean, maybe this is a good thing to look at. So here in Crystal Veil, look at the APRs. They've really come down quite a bit than what they had been when Crystal Veil started. 107% APR, 100% APR, 85% APR. In fact, I'm out of all the gardens in Crystal Veil right now because there's better opportunities, right? It's not even good enough for me to have 100% APR. It isn't even good enough for me to put money in here. So we're in Serendale instead, right? But here's the thing that we want to keep in mind when some people say, or when even we ourselves might be thinking, yeah, the APRs are pretty high right now, but they're not going to stay high. They're going to go down. And so we can't rely on those high APRs. Absolutely true, right? We cannot rely on these 2,000% APRs, even though, I mean, they've been going well for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Is that right? And they will continue to go lower, as we all know. There are charts and tables that we can look at to see how much less funds are going to be going into these pools each week after week, each epoch after epoch, right? And that will bring down the APRs significantly. So we all know that that's coming. It's not a big deal. But here's something else to think about, and that is the dev team already has said that they are going to have at least 2 more realms, right? And that's going to be 2 more opportunities to get into high yield APRs probably within the next year, right? So here's something to think about. If you were to go and spend a lot of money right now on summons or other type of things that might not get you a Gen 0 for the raffle or whatever it is, if you spend a bunch of money on other things right now, that means that you're not taking advantage of these high APRs. Taking advantage of these high APRs, even for a month or 2, could end up tripling your value, doubling or tripling the value that you do have. So let's say you've only got $50. If you can triple that value in a couple of months, or even double that value in a couple of months, then that means that the time the next realm opens up, you'll have twice as much money to put into those super high APRs for the next realm and grow that even faster. And then maybe at that time, you will have put in enough over the course of this next year, 6 months maybe, to buy a Gen0 that you want, rather than hope to win one that might not even be all that great, right? So that's something else to think about. Work on your bags. Work on getting those high APRs. Work on continuing to put investment money in here, and you might be able to buy a Gen0 sooner than you think. There are other realms coming up. All right, let's get off into here. TuneFed, how are you doing? Might want to edit that Twitch schedule sometime. Oh, man. Yeah, TuneFed, I do need to get back on Twitch. Yeah. Let's see. I need avocados and sesame seed oil. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Zelf. Hey, Zelf. Going to work and lurking. Nice. Great to hear you here. Let's see. Oh, there's a Nightbot message coming out right now. That's interesting. Wonder why that Nightbot message is coming out here. Might need to change that, perhaps. I need to read end-of-year letter to investors of Grayscale. I think it says they might need to sell some assets to cover liabilities. Really spooking me. Ooh, wow. So I don't know much about what's going on with Grayscale. Is there some interesting information there? Tim Butters, hey, how are you doing, Tim? Great to see you here again. Sabu, I focused more funds to S-Jewel. Did 3 years on 2 accounts. One my bot account and the other is my future bot account. Right, exactly. I figure I'll lock in for more power-ups and away plus 100 versus 75 crystal. Yeah, so one of the things that I think most of us have done is put something into the jeweler. So for this particular jeweler, I think y'all know the Crystal Veil. I have like 10,000 jewel into Crystal Veil for 3 years. And so for here, S-Jewel, I've only put 3,700 jewel in here. I'm surprised. What, 3,700? I've already got 54 jewel rewards? What? This is like in 1 day? Because I only put this in yesterday, right? I mean, not even 24 hours ago. Surprised I have that much jewel rewards already. Whatever the case is, I'm happy about that. Earning a little bit of money there. But the point that I'm getting at here is, yeah, having some money focused in a couple of accounts. Oh, and also, guys, those of you that are curious, I did get some funds into our community account, the Play to Earn Investment Fund, right? So not a lot. We didn't have a lot to put in, but, oh, uh-oh. Oh, no, did I not get that in? What's going on here? No way. Oh my goodness. I was doing 4 things at once last night, including trying to help my sister at the very last minute get some of her funds into the S-Jeweler. And I was trying to juggle a bunch of other things all at the same time in the last few minutes there. I thought I moved this money over, which is what it was for, into S-Jewel, but apparently I did not get it in. I guess a transaction failed. Is that what we're gonna see? Oh no, does this still say pending? It still says pending. Oh my goodness. What's the deal with this? So here was this transaction. Yeah, look at this. I was doing it right at the last few minutes. And it's still pending. I thought I got that in. Oh, man. So this thing's been pending for a long time. Oh, it's frustrating. Anyway, guys, well, I guess we didn't get it in. So no raffle tickets for our our community account there. That's too bad. Okay, let's get back over to this. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Too many ways to play this game with limited funds. Brandnote says, I totally agree with that. There's so many different ways to play and different aspects that you can come into. I kind of like that in a way, because of course it allows different people to have different things that they like about it, but definitely it makes it very difficult to do all the things that you want to do, right? Grendote says, how to balance S-Jewel, C-Jewel versus high APRs versus heroes. Exactly right. Right? So I think part of the issue is, you know, what do you want to do and where do you want to go? And I think really for me, Clayton blockchain, I wanted to get a few things into the S-Jeweler to get a few raffle tickets, right? I don't have that many, it's okay. But I wanted a few raffle tickets there. And then really the place that I'm gonna be probably playing the most is in Crystal Vale. So of course there's more stuff over there, or more into the Sea Jeweler over there. But this time, even though I had a lot more jewel available to put in here, I actually didn't put as much in here as I could have, because kind of at the last, not at the last minute specifically, but over the last day, I was like, what do I really want to do? TuneFed says, got to run to the post office. We'll be back in a while. All right, TuneFed. See you in a few minutes. So one of the things that I thought about there right at the last minute was adding a little bit more to the gardens, right? And so I think that's what I ended up doing instead, with a little bit more of my extra jewel. It did mean that I had to split jewel into something else, which I wasn't particularly happy about, but I did end up really going after those higher APRs a little bit more. It says no liquidity, but I know I have liquidity in here. Let's try it again. After a refresh, let's see. TuneFed says, see Frisky's announcement about rewards. Yeah, we'll take a close look at that. Oh, I almost did not deposit after approving. Oh man, right. Yeah, there's an issue. Well, hold on a second. What's going on here? It says no liquidity. I absolutely know I've got stuff in these gardens. Why is it saying no liquidity? All right, let's see. Yeah, there have been a couple of times, not necessarily this time right here, but there was a couple of times when I approved something and then I did not actually do the action after approving it. Yeah, so here in the seed box, we can see I've got some Jade ETH, I've got some Jade Jewel, I've got some Jewel USDT, but what I really want to look at is from the Druid's perspective. There we go, now they're popping up. Okay, so from the Druid's perspective, it's a little bit easier to see all of these at once, because we can open up these little, open up the little windows and see that we've got 223 jewel, or about $90, 40 plus 40. It's $90 worth of jewel in USDT. There is some jewel or some Jade in Ethereum. which is where quite a bit of the money is, right there, 1068. And it looks like I didn't put as much as I thought. This, oh man, maybe I did put more of it into Jewel. Oh no, I transferred it to another account. That's what I did. So some of that money went into Jade Jewel, but not a lot. And then I think some others of it went into another account that I don't really play a lot with. Is that where it went to? Not into there, into here. Yeah. And so for here, into the jeweler, I ended up putting a little bit more into this account right here as well. So we've got a little bit earning into there, another 2,000, which wasn't a lot, but it is a little bit more in there. And then do I have anything in the gardens here? I'm not sure if I do or not. Yeah, it looks like I did add some to a gardens on this account as well. So we had a little bit of Jade and BTC. Not a lot, but a little bit in there. Let's see. So I think that's really just to help answer some of y'all's questions out there. A lot of ways to play the game. How do you balance all this different stuff? And Grando, just like you, it's difficult for most of us, I think, to come up with good strategies that are perfect. I'm not sure that without a lot of really deep thought, we're not going to come up with these perfect strategies. So for me, I'm just doing a little bit of diversification. I know I want to play the game, so I want to make sure that I've got some jewel in the jewelers. I know that I want to be able to get those high APRs to start earning. So I've got some stuff in the gardens. And then of course you got to have the heroes themselves if you're going to be playing. So just making sure that you're buying those heroes on a regular basis. And I think some combination of that, whatever it's going to be like for you, is going to be the way to do it, right? And I don't think there's any wrong way to do it. Zizardo says, they mentioned unlocking of some jewel on the old Harmony jewel or something. We got a little bump on the jewelry. Oh, that's right. So I did get a, I did take a few notes from the AMA today, which I thought was really cool. So I guess we could talk about that here real quick. My biggest takeaways, of course, there was a lot of other little bits of information in there too, but my biggest takeaways from the AMA, and I'm very curious what y'all thought of the AMA, not only for the points that I'm mentioning here, but also, was there anything else that I'm not mentioning in my highlights that you think is worth an extra little bump? And I'd be interested to see what y'all have to say in the chat. So a couple of my biggest takeaways was pet functionality is coming, and I just remember hearing things like feeding pets and you know, just the pet utility and all that kind of stuff. I don't really think I heard a whole lot of additional alpha dropped about pets, other than just that we're really close, right? And so that is right here. Surplus of fees and the team is now stronger was another bit of information that I heard in the AMA as well. It sounds really good. So to make sure that the dev team is being paid well enough for them to continue to work, I think is super important, right? I think all of us really want to know that and just make sure, hey guys, you're all getting paid enough. The fund's there for all that. I think that's really important. And so to have them say that everything's looking good, and then of course, even just mentioning that the team is stronger now, having maybe a closer bond, having gone through a lot of, I don't want to say trauma necessarily, but through the hardships that of course, the DeFi Kingdoms team themselves has gone through, and you know, with Harmony blockchain and all the FUD and all the other stuff, and then just crypto in general being on the downturn and going through a bear market, and all this stuff. You've got a lot of things compounding to really bring a lot of hardship, I guess. And when you have people in a team working together to overcome those hardships, that's when you get more strong, bonded human connection. And so that is the type of thing that would make the team stronger, which is also really important. The funds and the money could be there, but if your team is infighting amongst themselves, that's not going to make a good project either, right? And so I think both of these topics are really good to hear. Plenty of money, strong team that's not infighting and all that kind of stuff. Really, really good on both of these accounts. Really nice to hear that that's where we're looking at. Auto questing is coming and being a built-in feature. That was something else that I think most people already know, but they wanted to reiterate that, or someone was asking that again as a question. So it's good to see that auto questing is coming. As I had mentioned before, I am pretty sure that Zelis and DFK Helper and Coolio are going to ultimately work their magic to get DFK Helper to be the mechanism built into DeFi Kingdoms normal gameplay, right? So I am super glad to be a part of DFK Helper right now. I guess I consider myself a beta tester of it. I think it works great. And if they can get this tool into be part of the main component of DeFi Kingdoms, I think that would be fantastic. So I'm really all for that, and want to support Zelis and Coolio and the team over there as much as I can for getting this in, because this would be really good. And then you could spend some Seedule, right? Some Seedule bonus power-ups to be able to manage this. And then that way they can make their money. It's more integrated into the payment for the game. It feels more natural. And I think a lot more people would be up for paying for a service like this if they were paying in Seedule rewards and bonuses, rather than having to feel like they need to go outside to a third party to make that stuff. So I really think that it is going to be good to see that in there, and it'll help. I think it'll help them too. Let's see. Let me catch up in chat, then we'll talk a little bit more about the AMA stuff. New epoch coming in 10 minutes. That's right. New epoch is like 4 minutes from now. So very, very close. We should have our new epoch. In fact, let's click over in here into the harvest, I guess. We can look at that from our harvest section. Is Jade going to hold up? That is a massively good question. So right now, in approximately 3 minutes to go at 4 p.m. my time, US Central. So we're going to drop from 93 to 91%. Now, y'all do know, I'm not sure if y'all want me to talk about this and show some math on this or not, but y'all do know that even though it's dropping 2% every epoch, that these first few epochs are way more substantial than the last, the epochs that are going to be around in, 6 months or 9 months or so, right? Even though, let me repeat that, even though every epoch is going to drop by 2%, so we had 95, then 93, then we're going to have 91, then we're going to have 89, then 87, it's going to drop by 2% each time. Even though it's dropping by 2% each week, y'all are realizing that the amount of funds that you're going to get by waiting another week and not pulling this out right away is more significant in the first couple of weeks than it's going to be in 6 months, right? The difference between 93 and 91 is a lot more than the difference between 85 and 83, right? Even though it's 2% in each case, the 2% here is a lot more valuable than the 2% from 85 to 83. And if y'all don't understand that, I'll be happy to talk about why that is. So let's see. New epoch coming up. Yep, here it is. And the big question, Sir Mir says or asks is Is Jade going to hold up? Good question. So let's talk a little bit more about Jade, our cryptocurrency specifically, from our Market Watch stuff, since we're here as well. Ethereum, what's Ethereum doing as far as recently over the last several days? Again, since the FTX collapse right there, Ethereum seems to be following very closely with what Bitcoin is doing, up and down again a little bit right there. And now that we see what Bitcoin and Ethereum is doing, we know what we can hold all the other cryptos do. So as long as all the other cryptos are doing the same thing, we can just say, yep, they're just following all the other cryptos. However, if the next few cryptos that we're looking at, Crystal and Jade and Jewel and all that kind of stuff, if they're bucking the trends, if they're going down more or if they're going up more than this trend, then we know something's up, right? So let's take a look at a couple of these. First thing is Crystal. Crystal, over the last several days, has been doing some interesting things. Of course, here's the FTX collapse right here at November the 9th. And unfortunately, Crystal is not following the trends of Bitcoin and most of those. It's just been down, a slight up, but then way down. And now a very, very slow uptrend right here. Maybe even flat for these few days, and then starting an uptrend from the 20th, right? So Crystal is slowly coming back up from a low of like 8.5 cents. Now it's over 9. This is not a very big change though. Look at that, only 8.5 cents up to 9.1 cents. So you're all talking about just a little bit more than half a penny. So not a lot of big change right there. Crystal is still only at 9 cents. It's under 10 cents. That's pretty crazy to me. Remember, Jade and Crystal are going to be in parity. So if Jade is way higher than this, what's going on with Crystal and Jade? Eventually they're going to get into parity. Now, of course, we have to realize that right now a lot's going on in Clayton. Summoning event, the Gen0 raffle stuff, and the jeweler, and there's just a bunch of other reasons to be in Serendale right now and to pump Jade. But eventually these are going to match up. So is Jade going to fall drastically, or is Crystal going to pick back up over time? That's part of the question there. So let's take a look at what Jewel is doing. So what's Jewel been doing the last couple of days? And here, since again the FTX collapsed around the 9th, Jewel has been also not quite following the Bitcoin trend in that it's going down and not quite as being as stable, but it's continuing to come down and continuing to come down. This is a little interesting to me, that seems that Crystal and Jewel are following very similar trends, and Jewel is still way down here at 20 cents, when of course it had been up near 40 cents not too long ago, earlier this month. So very interesting. Take a look at, and again, Jewel is up a little bit, not a lot. Here it was 18, just about 19 cents, and now we're at 20, almost 21 cents. So it's just a 2-cent difference. It's not very big. Right? I guess when you're talking about 20 cents, a 2 cents difference is 10%, so it is still a 10% climb over the last couple of days. It's not insignificant percentage. All right, let's take a look at Jade then. So what's Jade been doing? So over the last couple of days, of course, Jade started off really strong when we kicked off Clayton and Serendale, but then has fallen. But Jade is seeming to have a very nice upward trend that continues to not falter. However, if we zoom in a lot over the course of just, I guess since midnight, we zoom in quite a bit, and we're looking at midnight of last night. This is when a lot of Jade fell. I wonder if that has anything to do with people selling Jade to try to get Jewel at the last minute to pump into the S-Jeweler. And then Jade continues to fall for the rest of the day. Now I think also this has to do with as Sir Mir says, the epoch changing, right? So now we're at 91%. We've got 6 days to go to 89%. And I got a nice big boost in what my unlocked value is right there. All right, nice big boost in that. Let's see. Let's get back over here real quick as we're talking about. So Jade's currently at 24 cents, and it looks like it's coming down from about 25.5 cents. Will it continue to hold? I think there's some reasoning behind it holding, at least for a bit, until early January, mid-January, because of the summoning event. People are still going to do some summons. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of summons, not like what we saw in Crystal Vale, but there will be some. Summoning is quite a bit more expensive in Serendale right now than Crystal Vale. So the only reason that you'd be summoning in Crystal Vale, the only reason you'd be summoning in Serendale right now is for the raffles, right? And it's pretty expensive. Let's see. Anyone else think we're gonna feed fish to pets? I don't see them snacking on darkweed or amber taffy. Well, it's an interesting thought, Sir Mir. I don't know if fish is going to be it or not. It could be. But then again, some pets are kind of strange looking pets, aren't they? And who's to say that a pet of some certain type wouldn't necessarily eat something odd, right? And as an example, a basilisk. Basilisk, I think, could probably eat just whatever it wants. Whatever this creature is too, you know, maybe it eats inorganic type of items, don't know. But certainly animals that we're familiar with, fish, hechu, crabs, clams, gooses, geese, and whatevers, are going to eat probably things that we're thinking of. But there could be some very interesting creatures, like a whelp. Who's to say a whelp wouldn't eat an amber taffy, right? Or who's to say any of that stuff? This. Kadoris, maybe they eat some weird stuff too, right? Do not know. A blub could eat weird things. But you are right. Could be fish. Could also be plants. There could be plants that could be eaten or that kind of thing. I think termites eat wood as an example of something that eats wood. Yeah, could be some different things. And we also have to keep in mind that this is just a game, and so with games comes who knows what, right? We could make stuff up. Hope my bards sell with more unlocked dropping. Yeah. So if more people have more money, maybe they could afford to buy some more things. That could be good too. Also, Zabu, how long have you had yours up for sale? Do you have some hero ID numbers that we could look at, or a link? I guess y'all can't post links in here, can you? If you give me hero ID numbers, we can pull them up and take a quick look at them. Maybe get a couple of new eyeballs on your specific heroes that you're trying to sell. Ryan says, quick question. I have a pending transaction that's stuck on my desktop. I tried raising gas a lot to clear active quests. Also tried disconnecting my wallet, still stuck. Meanwhile, mobile wallet works fine. Any suggestions? So I seem to have a weird issue going on right now myself. I don't think that I want to spend stream time to try to work it out. But as you notice right here, I was trying to get some funds into the jeweler last night, and it's still pending almost 24 hours later. So what to do about that? A couple of things. You said you've tried to speed it up and it doesn't work. And I've tried that a couple of, so I had an issue yesterday with another account, even a different account than this, where I was trying to send some funds from one account to the other, and it kept pending, installing, and not going through for, I think I let it run 30 minutes the first time, and then I tried to cancel and back out of it, and I was having a difficulty even backing out of it, and then I tried it again, and it still had the same issue. So it was very weird. I tried canceling it, it wouldn't seem to cancel. Yeah, doing things like disconnecting your wallet, and maybe even restarting the browser. I would say things like disconnecting the wallet first and then stopping your browser, and maybe even rebooting the computer are things. Something else that you might try, I have not tried this yet either, but under the settings, the gear wheel up here, there's something like clear active quests. I don't think that that's going to do anything with a transaction through MetaMask necessarily, but I mean, if you've tried everything else and you can't seem to get it, then maybe that could possibly help out, clearing some things out potentially. I would say maybe doing some things in settings under MetaMask could help as well. Maybe changing or not enabling enhanced gas fees, perhaps. Maybe that's part of what's causing an issue. Maybe trying a different network. So one of the other things that you might want to do here, let's say I pull this drop down, you'll notice that here I've got, as an example, I've got Polygon network. Oops, that's not quite what I wanted to do. And then I've also got Polygon mainnet. And here you see I've got Clayton mainnet, and I've got another Clayton mainnet. And that's not necessarily a good thing. And here's Polygon mainnet again. And that's not necessarily a good thing to have. Hang on a second, let me get back over to here. You don't necessarily want a bunch of things named all the same thing, but where I'm headed with that is that under your settings and under networks, you might have multiple types of things. Like here I've got Polygon, which has a certain RPC link, and then if I go under Polygon or another Polygon, I've got one, and then I've got another one. So here's Polygon RPC, and here's Poly-RPC Gateway Pocket Network, right? And so you might try the same type of thing. So here's Clayton mainnet with Clayton RPC DeFi Kingdoms, and here is public node API, Clayton API, so on. There's a different RPC URL, and that might be something to look at and see if one of those works better than the other one. Maybe that's something to look at as well. Other than that, Ryan, I don't have any. It sounds like you've done a lot of the things that I would do as well. And then I would say maybe even go so far as to disconnect, the accounts from your MetaMask, right? So you'd go under here and just say connected sites, and you'd say disconnect from that specific account. Shut down your browser all the way, and maybe even reboot your computer too, right? Something else that you might look at is to try it from, so you're saying mobile works fine. If you have another desktop or laptop to try it from, you might try it there. And if that's fine, then that seems like that's just a problem with the computer that you're sitting in front of. And again, maybe rebooting that computer would help out a little bit too. You might even also think about uninstalling MetaMask itself. I'm not sure you need to go that far. Sabu says, first tried to clear quests in profiling game. Yeah, I would say that is something to do too. Like I was mentioning before, even just trying to do the gear settings and clear active quests and that kind of stuff might help. I doubt it, but possible. You're saying you already tried that. Other than that, Ryan, I don't know if I already mentioned this a minute ago or not, but I would say just go to the Discord and just get some help. I know that DeFi Kingdoms has some support sections, and I would say that would be probably the best place to go, is either Serendale or Crystal Vale support. Where is that? Is that down at the bottom? Didn't think it was. Not seeing the support channels right off the top of my head. See discussions, hero prices. I know that, oh, here's Clayton Serendale support. So it looks like they've combined these into a thing together. It's just under the support section. And there's, so I would say go check that out. Drop your question stuff in there. And then also read what other people are saying, because you might find someone's already has a solution to that, and just if you read up a little bit, so that might be helpful also. Dr. J says, if you have miners, then stacking up locked jade now will keep them from maxing out for miners for longer. Absolutely, that is true. If you get your locked jade going, then that's going to be really good. Speaking of locked jade, I don't know how much I've got in my thing right at the moment, but I am kind of curious what it's up to now. 6,000, so that's good. But we want to keep going because we want those miners to be at full blast for as long as they can be. So stacking that locked jade, always pretty good. Sabu says that if the stuff with the MetaMask doesn't work, then go into advanced reset. Reset only clears transactions, so no, that is true too. And that's kind of what I was thinking about earlier. I guess I was forgetting it, but under advanced, there is a reset. Maybe it's down at the very bottom. Is that true, or somewhere up in here? Reset account right here. Reset account will clear your transaction history. This will not change the balances in your accounts or require you to re-enter your security phrase, which is really good also. And I have done this once or twice, and that did work, just to reset the account. I didn't have to type in my security phrase again, which was thankful. I didn't have to reinstall MetaMask, which was good. It just kind of cleared out the transaction stuff, and that did work for me as well. So yeah, thanks Sabu for pointing that out. Sabu says, I want more locked, but actually want to buy some locked crystal first. So that's an interesting point there too. I think people are selling locked values for pretty low right now. And sure enough, buying some locked value might really be a way to go if you're long-term bullish on the game and everything like that. If you've got a good number of miners, then, you know, you're expecting to be hacking away at that locked balance for a while. So buying, you know, buying 100,000 or 50,000 or whatever locked balance could really be good for you. Every day jade holds up, good day for farmers. Yes, indeed. So what are we looking at right now over the last few minutes? Let's go to a 5-minute chart. So it looks like there's some really big sales and then kind of stabilizes. Something's going on, then a really big sale again. So people are trying to dump. I'd be really cautious right now with these really big sales right here and right here, especially bringing the market down. I think somebody wants to dump a lot more. It's just they don't want to affect the market so much. So they're waiting a little bit of time, and then they're hitting it hard again. They're waiting more time, hitting it hard again. So be careful with that jade. We might see a pretty big dip. You see Umar L. Hey, how are you doing? It's wild to me the crystal price. Yep, I need to load up at least for cheap boons. Yeah, you know, talk about being hard to do things in the game right now. I don't even know what to do, guys. I know sometimes y'all look for content creators to get insight into, you know, what we should be doing. But guys, don't look at me. I mean, sometimes I might give out an interesting idea or say something that might trigger an idea in y'all, but my goodness, I have no clue what to be doing myself with this either, because one of the things that I'm looking at right now, I do not want to spend my crystal for things, because I think crystal right now is about to go up. It's down to 9 cents right now, and I don't want to do anything with that crystal. There was on one of my other accounts, I was running out of Jewel for gas. I was running low on Jewel for gas, and I needed to buy some more or get some more gas. And I was like, well, how do I do that? How do I get more gas in here? Because I don't even want to spend my crystal on gas. So I was like, well, what else do I got in my inventory? So I was looking at like bloaters and other things that I could sell. And I was like, well, I don't even want to sell some of these things, because lantern eye and iron scale and all this is going to be useful, or it's coming up. We're going to need those for either hatching pets or for doing something with the pets, maybe feeding the pets. And so I'm like, I have no idea what to sell right now. I just want to keep everything. There's nothing that I feel good about selling right now, except for maybe Jade at the moment, just because I think Jade in the very short term might be on a downward trend. But it's tough right now. I have no idea what to sell. Do not want to sell my crystal. I do think I ended up selling 2 crystal to get the gas that I needed, but man, it was a really rough decision for me to do that. Let's see. 1.5 speed, playing to catch up. Absolutely. Yeah, I did a 2x speed on the AMA today. Speaking of AMA, let's pull up that little chart again. We'll continue on getting through some of the AMA stuff here shortly. Let's see here. Zabu selling bards. I might be in the market. I can't summon one for the life of me. Yeah, so Worm's got some good stuff. In fact, somebody was saying it on a stream a few days ago. Was it Brown Gent and Grady, I think, might have been talking about something like that, where, and I feel the same way, rather than spend a ton of money trying to summon my own and not doing a very good job of it, just to spend that same money, rather than doing a whole bunch of summons, just spend the money to buy what you want a little bit more, right? Hey, this is the one I want, and buy. And if you think they're very expensive right now, then you could wait a little bit. I think when there's more players in the game and after more time, we'll see some of the excitement drop off in some of these things that are new. Like right now, Legionnaires and Scholars and Bards, Spellbows are all really new. People are really excited about them. I think you're paying a premium price right now if you want one. Of course, if you are buying one right now, you might have a specific reason to do it, and that's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I'm like, I don't need a Spellbow right now today. I don't need a Bard right now today. So I'm willing to wait a little while and buy them when I think they're going to be cheaper, when there's more of them in the game in a couple of months. But if you want to be someone that has them right away, or if you've got things you want to do, maybe it's in your game plan, in your business model, to be doing something with those bards and spellbows and everything like that, to be doing summoning events and then reselling those offspring. I mean, then now is the time to do it, because the value is up. And if you're trying to make money off of selling those things, now is the time to do it. Absolutely. Let's see, Sergeant says, can you at some point talk through your lessons learned from Crystal Vale, Serendale garden launches? Yeah. Let me put a little message in here. CV, SD, garden launches, lessons learned. Yeah, I'll definitely add that in here. Okay. Chrome Firefox Edge for Windows, press Control F. Yeah, okay, so y'all just talking about how to do that. Tried all that, still stuck in the transaction. Yeah, Ryan. I'm going to say look at Discord. Try not to get attached. Plus, you'll be making more of those bards. I think I have the floor Gen 1. I think in a Forger listed number 363 if you want to check. Yeah. So we can go check that out real quick. Number 363. And I think you're saying that that's in... Let's go to the tavern. Oops, this is... Oh, man. I think I'm in Crystal Vale. And I think you're doing your thing in Serendale. So let's move over to that. And if we look at the agent, buying heroes, and you're saying number 363, is that correct? Did I get the number of zeros wrong? That's way too many zeros right there. So I'm not sure what you're looking at. Is that a Crystal Vale hero? Because I don't think you mean 363. This was 363. Unless someone already bought it. Someone already buy the 363? Let's see. I would sell lower than listed. Have you tried doing another transaction with the same custom nonce to destruct it? Yeah, that is another thing you could try. Sardo recommends. That's a little tricky to do. And Ryan, if you've never done that before, you definitely want to look at, you want to find a couple of websites that talk you through how to do it. But I have used the reusing a nonce before that helped to destroy the one that was stuck, and it did work. So that is another possibility. Okay, it might be a back-end DFK issue then. I'll give it another day or two. I'm not necessarily sure I'd say give it another day or two. Sometimes it could just be stuck legitimately on your computer, especially if you're able to do it on your mobile. You're saying it did fix itself a couple of days randomly? Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Now, Ryan, is it blocking you from doing other transactions, or does it just say pending and it just says pending, but it's not blocking you from any transactions? And also, I guess let me ask you, if you're looking into here, into MetaMask, does it say pending there in your activity? Or does it just say pending up at the top in the middle of the screen? That could be a couple of different issues. Surmir says 1100% APR. I'm loving it. Yeah, that is true. Now that we have our new gardens, let's go ahead and check in the seed box and see what we're looking at now. In fact, let me refresh this page. So what are we looking at? Jade Ethereum, 2100% APR. Jade and Jewel, 13. Man, alive. Are these APRs really still this high? I'm a little taken aback. You know, I thought when we had the epoch changeover, and of course we know, let's look at a little something up here, right? DeFi Kingdoms. Oops, DeFi Kingdoms. And gardens and docks, right? And I should probably have a faster link to this somewhere, but y'all know that the Jade Gardens, we are now on December the 22nd. That means we're in our third epoch, right? Right here. And so we're down to 9% unlocked and 91% locked. But here's the biggest thing that's causing APRs to drop. We had 720 Jade being flushed into the system every minute last week. And now only 600 Jade is being flushed into the system every minute. It's not an insignificant drop. Down from 720 down to 600 is significantly more than a 10% drop. Maybe not overly significantly, but 15% drop, somewhere right around in there. And so we're expecting that some people are going to be getting out of those pools, which might help the APR stay up high. But also, we're going to see a lot less Jade just getting delivered out to be separated between more people. I think more people are going to start getting into the liquidity pools as well. It all takes time. Some people are just coming back into the game. They're still going to see those 1000% APRs, and they're going to jump right in there. Right? Once we get to next week is going to be half, 480 Jade per minute as opposed to 960 Jade per minute in the first week. It's going to be half of what it was coming out every minute. And then from there, a couple more weeks, and we're going to have a third, right, of what it had been. And it just keeps dropping from there. So within the first couple of months, by February the 3rd especially, those rewards are really going to drop down quite a bit. And then once we get lower down into here, here's where we start to see such low APR or such low injection of new Jade coming into the system that if we've still got a bunch of people into the liquidity pools, the APRs are going to be super low, just like they are in Crystal Vale right now. I'm going to suspect that by November of next year, the dev team is probably going to either have already opened up another realm or looking into opening up another realm maybe near the end of the next year. Maybe November, December of next year it'll open up. I think y'all probably remember the dev team saying at some point, it's not true anymore, I don't think, but I do remember them saying at some point that they wanted to have a new realm open every 6 months, right? And if any part of that is still in the back of their minds, then that would mean that sometime around June, July, we should be getting the next realm opened up. All right, and in that particular case, super high APRs for those new gardens on that new realm as well. Right? And then people are probably going to be leaving, let's see, around June or July. So April, so sometime in this time period right here. Yeah, this is going to be such low APRs. It's only going to be 60 Jade per minute, which is what it's going to be for almost all the rest of that year. It's going to be such low Jade per minute that I think we'll all be ready for a new realm by then. And then, of course, if they don't release a new realm until the end of next year, then we'll even be more ready at that point, right? Now, something that I heard recently also on one of the AMAs, I think it was Hubert or Frisky Fox, one of those guys did mention that the rush to get into Serendale on the Clayton blockchain was because they were having to shut down Harmony. And there was a comment, I forget exactly word for word what they said, but they did have some kind of comment that I picked up on because I'm expecting, from what I heard many months ago that they were planning on doing a realm every 6 months. And so when they said this latest thing, not in today's or last week's, but I think 2 weeks ago, their AMA had some kind of comment in there like, because Serendale was so rushed here on Clayton blockchain, then now they don't feel as pressured to release another blockchain. And because of the way he stated that in the AMA, it made me feel a little bit like they don't want us to expect another realm to come out, quote, too quickly, which means to me that they're probably backing off a little bit from their new realm every 6 months. I don't know that for sure. Not sure how they're going to feel about it over the course of the next few months. Maybe they'll get re-inspired to have another realm out. And now that they've done 3 realms, they've done Harmony, they've done DFK on Avalanche blockchain, and now Clayton blockchain, then I think their 4th one will go even more smoothly, because they're already building stuff into it to make it go smoothly as well, right? So yeah, if we're still seeing those high 1100% APRs, even right now, even after this new epoch is rolled in, that's really good. I'm loving it too. Sirmir, feels very bad that I missed out on this launch. It was totally different from CV with mining and gardening being available. Yes, yes. And that's something too that I think we're going to get into in a few minutes. Back to Sergeant's question, a little bit more about Crystal Vale, Serendale garden launch lessons learned. Just something to keep in mind as well, right? Let's see. Right, and the only thing I know to do to help is, depending on the issue, switch between beta and non-beta sites. Something else that you might try is using a different browser as well. You've got Chrome and, maybe you have access to another browser. Try something else. But then, yeah, do support channels on their Discord will be good. I'll DM you in Discord, heroes, IDs, see if they match. Let's see. How about the guy who bought up all the bloaters? Man alive, that was crazy. Don't know why, don't know the thought process. My thought process of that was that someone, someone made a mistake. As an example, here on DFK Helper, I can set for, bloaters right in here as an example. I can set this bot to automatically buy bloaters or trigger when it reaches a certain price. And I'm gonna think that somebody was in here playing around with something like this, whether it was DFK Helper or some other tool, or maybe they were making their own, whatever the case was. But someone was in here doing something with a bot and some kind of automated tool, and they did something on accident to buy up all the bloaters they could, or spend a whole lot of money to buy everything they possibly could. That's my guess. It probably was not done on purpose. All right, let's see what else we got. Tried the nonce. Also, still, man, you tried the nonce even too. I'll just use my phone now. This happened before, randomly fixed it. Just watch out for scammers when publicly asking for help and support. Yeah, absolutely. Gotta watch out for scammers trying to say, oh yeah, send me a DM. I feel that Ryan will have enough sense to spot the scammers. Probably. Ryan seems to be pretty, but there's, Ogre. You would think that Ogre would have enough sense to watch out for scammers. And didn't he say that just the time of day that he was doing stuff and he was running through things really quickly and he just overlooked something and that's the way he got scammed. Just by accidentally overlooking something real quick and going. So, it can happen to all of us. Always have to be on the lookout. Let's see. I just unlisted. Okay, that's good. Right now it's 63.17. Okay. You want us to look at 63.17 real quick? We could do that. Tavern, agent. And there's a bunch of zeros in front of that too. Let's see, you had number what? 6317. We need to add another 0 in there. All right, so 6317. Can you give me the full thing that I can just click, like copy and paste? And not that you have to. If I don't want you to feel obligated to put in the hero ID number here, but if you wanted me to look at it, send me the full hero ID number, and we can take a look. Let's see. You saw that Grady and Ogre is doing the stream. Yes, in fact, guys, if y'all didn't know, there's a few streams that are going to be going on later today. So definitely check out stuff. So, of course, I just watched Brown Gent and Grady, I guess it was yesterday. If y'all haven't liked that video and made a comment on it, go ahead and, here, I'll just drop this. Control-C and Control-V, and I'll paste that into chat for y'all. Go ahead and check that out. But there's a bunch of other stuff coming up in YouTube that you probably want to be aware of. So after my stream, so I'm going to be streaming for about another hour and a half. We're going to be going till 6 p.m. And that happens to be just the time. Thank you, Grady and Ogre. I'm not sure if y'all planned it this way to start when my stream ended. But looks like they are starting their stream right as my stream is ending. So I'll definitely want to be reminded, if I don't remember on my own, to get notified about that. And then also, there was something else that was happening. The Christmas stream with Brown Gent and Grady, also, we probably want to be notified about that one as well. And then the About Life podcast, that was something else. So another stream going on even after this one. I don't know if they're going to collide or have problems. I don't know if Grady and Ogre are probably not going to do 3 hours together, I guess. But we got About Life podcast as well. So a whole lot of things coming up. Turn on those notifications so y'all can see those guys coming up in there as well, right? Lots of good stuff. All right, let's see what we have got here. Missions only dropped about 20%. As long as price of Jade stays up, APRs will be superb. That is true. But one of the reasons that the APRs, I mean, one of the reasons that we might see problems with the pools is if the like people will start pulling out of the pools if the returns aren't there. And what I was getting at a little earlier with the garden stuff was, as the garden emission starts to drop off, more and more people will find it's not worth it. Just like right now, I don't have any funds in the Crystalville gardens at all, just because it doesn't make it worth it, right? Vibe says, my pullout game is strong. Nice. Yeah, definitely want to be pulling out of some of this stuff. If it doesn't make sense to be in, pull it out, right? And then you can always put it in later and pull it out again, right? Some of y'all will catch the joke. Let's see. So, by the way, Rock, you saw that, yeah, did that. I hit up Discord. Yep, that sounds good. Sir Mayor says by January the 19th, emissions will be 50%. That's right. So again, as those emissions drop off, more people will be less incentivized to be in those pools, and there might be other things to do with your money at that point, right? So definitely, and then also the emissions does have a lot to do with the APRs. If more of this is getting injected, or if more funds, or sorry, if less funds are getting injected, then you're getting less money, and we all have to split that less money by the same number of people, right? So that does radically affect the APRs that we get. Doesn't really matter if Jade stays up or not. So the price of Jade has to actually increase quite a bit with lower emissions coming out from the pools. And as we look here, looks like, just as I said, a few more minutes have passed, and now Jade has taken another big dump. I said, guys, I'm warning you right now, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't give you financial advice, but I think that now that the pool rewards and the epoch has switched over and we're getting a little bit less, I think every single week, actually, every single week, on the 22nd, on the 29th, on the 5th, right after 4 p.m., if this is going to happen every day at 4 p.m., or I should say if this is going to happen on each of these days at 4 p.m., we're probably going to see a sell-off of Jade as more people feel that now's the time to sell. So Ramir says, I don't have a crystal ball, I have a Jade ball. That would be pretty cool. In fact, I'm inspired. Jade ball images. Look at that. That is very cool. Yeah, look at that. I'd love to have a Jade ball. In fact, that seems like some good merch to have. Someone ought to create a nice Jade ball. This one specifically looks really good right there. Well, I guess it's neat. Nephrite, not necessarily Jade. Yeah, I got a couple of Jade balls right there. All right, let's get back to it over here and also pull up our little thing of what we're going to be covering here as well. Self says, Rock, can you do some math to figure out which pools to put 1,000 in? When I did last week, Jade and Ethereum was slightly better than Jade and Avox. Yeah, we can do some pools, although I don't really think that we need to do too much math there, Zelf. If you want me to do some math, we can. But I would say really the best pools to be in are going to be the pools with the highest APR right now. Let's just go and see what they are just in case. I got these Jade, Zebu says. Self says, I'm Chinese, always have a couple of Jade balls. Exactly right. Nice. All right, so what we're looking at here is the gardens and what gardens that it might be better to be in. And I'm going to say Jade ETH 2100 APR looks pretty good. Jade BTC looks just about as good. I'm not necessarily sure that it's important to be in the highest one, but look at this. Jewel USDT is only at 1100, which is half the amount, guys, half the amount that Jade and BTC is. If you can double your money, in other words, you're getting double the amount of money from Jade BTC rather than Jewel USDT, that would be the one to be in, right? One of these 2200 pools, or even like over here, 2100 is going to be good. 1300 Jade and Jewel, not that great, right? 1100 Jade USDT, not that great. 2200 Jade BTC, that's good. Jade USDT 2200, that's good. Jade Avox, I mean, it's just barely below 2000. So, I mean, it's not bad. I would say that's still an okay one to be in if you want to do that. Jade Clay, I don't think I would, or that might be a later choice, right? Here's something else to think about when you're getting into liquidity pools, guys. This is something else. Bravo Side says pretty unsustainable. Yeah, it is unsustainable, but that's not the point. The point that we should be looking at right now is that whether or not it's sustainable, it is happening right now. People are getting 2100% APR today and yesterday and tomorrow, and it might drop a little bit by tomorrow, but it's still going to be a massive amount. So in other words, would you rather make 1,000,000% APR for 1 hour or 10% APR for a year, right? I'd rather make 1,000,000% APR for even just 1 hour than 10% APR for a year. And I know that that's a massive extreme, but I make the point with that. Getting this little bit that you can now is good, because as soon as this drops to something a little bit lower, and as soon as it doesn't make sense, then you just move your money out to one of the other pools, right? So as you know, I think it's under Ice Gardens. Is that where it is, under the Ice Garden section? No, it's under the Jewel Gardens section, where we've got our little chart right here. No, unlocked claiming time. Where am I trying to look? Oh, maybe it's just under the garden section. Here we go. The fees is what I'm really looking for right here. So even if one of those 2,000% APRs, even if one of those 2,000% APRs only lasts 5 days, if you could make that much money in 5 days, you're really good to go, right? Doesn't really matter if those high APRs are only going to last a few days. And we're still fairly confident. So even if 2,000% APR only lasts a couple of days, I'm still more confident that Jade Ethereum in 2 weeks from now, I'm confident, I can't say 100%, but I am more confident that Jade Ethereum is still going to be a higher APR than Jewel Ethereum at only 1,000% APR. So as Jade Ethereum is dropping below 2,000, I think Jewel Ethereum is also going to be dropping, right? And so in that particular case, I would still rather be in the 2,000% APR that's dropping slightly rather than the Jewel Ethereum, which is also dropping slightly. Right? Here's the other thing, though, that I want y'all to consider when you're thinking about getting into your liquidity pools, and that is, how many miners do you have, guys? How many miners do you have? If you have got 18 miners, then I'm sorry, not miners. How many gardeners do you have? Think about the number of gardeners that you have, not miners. If you've got 6 gardeners, or I should say for every 6 gardeners, you probably should be splitting your money into different pools. So for me, if I come over here and I look at my heroes, and I look at my attributes, and I look at gardening, and I see apply, I've got 6 gardeners. That means on this account right here, I really only need 1 pool. All of my money can be put in 1 pool, because as we're doing 6 gardeners, we send 2 gardeners out per quest. And if each quest is going to last for so many hours, and then of course they need time to regenerate their stamina, then in general we have found that we can send 3 rotations of questers out over a 24-hour period for gardens. So 2 in the first quest, number 3 and 4 in the second quest, and 5 and 6 in the third quest over that 24-hour rotation. So for every 6 gardeners that you own, you should be in 1 pool, right? So for me right now, I am in a couple of different gardens. I'm in Jade Ethereum, I'm in Jade Jewel, and I'm in Jade USDT. However, if we take that a step further and look at the bank page and come down to here, then you'll notice that most of my funds are in Jade Ethereum, $900 or almost $1,000 of that. And the other 2 pools have just a small bit of money in there. So again, if you're getting into multiple pools and you have those gardeners there, if you do have 12 gardeners or 18 gardeners, you definitely want to be better diversifying your money into different pools. Otherwise, you could put it all into one. I don't have a lot of gardeners right there, so I could put it all into one garden. If I had 18 gardeners, then I would want to take this amount of money and I'd want to split it between 3 different gardens. And again, I'd probably want the ones in the 2000% range, because we can always, in a week or in 2 weeks, if one of them happens to flip-flop, and we all do know that those APRs sometimes do flip-flop, sometimes DeFi Kingdoms dev team is going to re-incentivize or maybe totally decentivize some of these pools. In other words, we not only need to worry about how many other players are getting into some of these pools, right? So if we see right here that the total deposits are too high, too many people are getting into these, that could lower the APRs, but also the pool rewards allocation. It's not the only thing we look at, but this is going to be determinant. This is going to help determine what is what's happening there. Hang on a second. Can you all hear that music in the background? I need to adjust something real quick there. There we go. So the pool allocation rewards, it does matter a little bit, right? 10%, 10%, 10% on this one, 10% on this one. But look, only 5% here and 15% here. But notice that even at 15%, it has only a 1700% APR, right? And so and this one has 5%. It's 3 times less pool allocation, but it still has a higher APR. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of money that's been deposited in there, right? Less than 200,000 as opposed to over 600,000 there, right? And so there's a whole lot of things that go into how to calculate the APR. And so as people move around their money, trying to get into the best positions, that could change. But the dev team might want to change the pool allocation rewards. We've had them do that before. I think there have been a couple of times when we've voted on pool allocation rewards being changed, and even sometimes gardens being archived and totally taken out, like we don't need them anymore. And so for those type of things, we want to keep in mind that we always want to be on the lookout for what are the best deals, and sometime between 5 days and maybe 4 weeks, we want to be comfortable moving around our gardens, either re-diversifying into a couple of different pools. If you get more gardeners, then of course you want to spread out your funds across multiple gardens. So then your other gardeners will be bringing back more value. Gardeners going in to mine this jade jewel pool for me are going to bring back small rewards, whereas if those gardeners are gardening in this pool, they're going to bring back a lot better rewards. So if you have 18 gardeners, then you want to make sure that your pools are more well balanced than mine are, right? But since I only have 6 gardeners, then putting it all into one pool makes a lot of sense for me. Let's see. Getting back into chat. Probably highest returns right now is probably the Vox Jade pool. Yeah, and I would say definitely you're going to want to go for those high percentage pools, and that's just going to be a strategy, I think, to keep with. So if someone's asking me, you know, what's good, it's easy. Look at the highest pool APRs and then feel comfortable moving around. Once the fees drop off, once it's more than 5 days, you can start looking at it. But then when it's over 2 weeks, and certainly when it's over 4 weeks, definitely those are good times to reconsider, right? So maybe once a month, reconsider, are these the best pools for me to be in? Let's see. And I would always say, maneuver it around. Pairs with USDT. So that's something too. Vibes is talking about pairs with USDT is less risk. There are lots of factors to be into if you do want to consider something other than just APRs. Vibes has a really good point with USDT being very stable. a potential risk for being in USDT is if we're going to see the market, like right now, I'm a little concerned about crypto in general. I've said it earlier in today's stream. I've said it on almost every day's stream that I've done for the past couple of months, I guess. And that is, I foresee a lower low in crypto, in all cryptos, probably including our beloved Jewel and Jade and Clay and Avox and all the stuff that we deal with ourselves. And if these tokens are going to go down, then being in USDT or USDC pools would help us to retain and hold some of that value, right? More of that value, because half of our pool tokens would be in that stable token. And that's good to hold your value. The problem that I foresee is at some point we are going to hit bottom. And at some point, some of these tokens like Jewel might continue to rise against the grain of the trend. And in that particular case, you don't want to be in USDT. You want to be in the cryptocurrency or any cryptocurrency when we're headed into the bull market again. Again, I personally don't think that's going to happen this week or next week. So if you're talking about what to get into today, USDT, USDC would probably be a good thing. It's much more likely in the next 2 weeks that we're going to see a deeper dip in crypto. And so if you're getting into USDT, USDC things today, that could be better, right? I would probably consider avoiding Jade a little bit more this week, because this week Jade might be taking a bit of a tumble. Just because the epoch is going to continue to come down, or I should say the rewards are going to continue to come down every week for a while. So week after week after week after week, Jade is probably going to take a bit of a hit. And so those pools might end up getting lower valued for those reasons as well. I don't know for sure, but that's a feeling. Two Noobs. Hey, how you doing, Two Noobs? Sorry it's taken me so long to get to some of these chat messages. Summoning with the 10 of 10 Seer Berserk mining pair right now. Sir Mir, oh my goodness. I'm sure you've done it by the time that I'm reading this message. Give me a miner. Give me a mythic. Absolutely. Sending those vibes. I hope that here in the future, or here in the past for you, I can send those vibes to you now and they will affect the future for you, and I'll find out in just a little bit. So hopefully you get it. And speaking of that kind of thing, guys, I don't want to get too sidetracked into non-DFK or non-crypto stuff, but have y'all heard the research that's been done that says that doing something in the future has a very interesting effect on the past? In other words, nothing's been proven yet, right? I can't point to a study that says that doing something today affects, what's happened in the past. But there are some studies, and if we want to go to that, studies that show action in future manipulates past. Maybe manipulates isn't quite the right word. Future changes. So yeah, there might be some stuff in here. Can the future affect the past and science and physics and blah, blah, blah? I'm not gonna get too derailed into that. But guys, I have seen some shows, I have seen some studies and seen some research that does seem to indicate, like there was, just to give you a real brief example of that, for those of you that want like an example. There was some kind of study where people were taught, or where people were asked to think about something like a random number or a flip of a coin. Let's have everyone focus to get more heads than tails. It's that kind of a thing. And it was kind of shown that when you have a large number of people trying to mentally persuade the universe, I guess, to have more heads than tails, then there could possibly be some effect to that. Another thing that you could kind of look at is monks change crime rate in New York, right? Have y'all heard of that? So there was some kind of thing where monks were doing some meditation and actually significantly lowered the crime rate in New York during the time that they were meditating, right? So there's, even if y'all don't believe this, there seems to be some studies that would somewhat slightly indicate that it's possible, and maybe there's some stuff that we don't fully understand as far as why that's happening or not. But the point that I'm making with y'all is there's possibly some studies that show that with meditation and thought and if you want to say prayer, this type of thing can change reality, right? And then along those same lines, they had some people put some thought into random numbers, flipping coins, a random number generator, and they saw that that could also change random numbers being generated. Again, very slightly, and only sometimes. It's very tricky to figure out exactly what's going on with that. And then on top of that, they said, well, if this is happening, you know, what's going on here? And they found that even if those coins were flipped and recorded onto some kind of a record mechanism, and then people later on, like later in the future, meditated on, we want more heads or we want higher numbers on the random numbers, that it still affected it even for the numbers that were recorded on a physical media in the past. Anyway, I don't want to dive off too much into weird strangeness and that kind of thing, but I'm sending out my vibes right now, and hopefully it's affecting you in the future is what I'm getting at. Let's see. I don't have a crystal ball. I have jade balls. Yeah, I dumped my jade USDT jewel for the epoch. That could be a good choice, Sir Mayor. Absolutely. Let's see. Then all the jokes came in. Yep, we got all those. Sir Mayor, 2200% APR, 9% unlocked is almost 200% APR. Pretty slick. Yeah. These super high APRs, even if you're only making it for a week at a time, is amazing amount of money. In fact, I have a spreadsheet if y'all wanted to, you know, if you wanted to see a little bit of math here for something. Let me pull up a spreadsheet real quick about some of this stuff. I want to get caught up in chat, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right here. But we saw that with like $1,000 of USD, oops, this isn't it. With $1,000 of USD put into something at 2,200% APR, your daily gains are $60, and in a week you're gonna have $420 in a week. Now guys, if you're concerned about the price difference in jade, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could probably do a little bit of math and see how much would the price of jade have to change for you to gain or lose $420 in a week, right? If you had $1,000 worth of jade. So we know that that jade is probably right now, let's say jade's worth a quarter. So you're talking about 4,000 jade, just about 4,000 jade, and getting or losing $400, that's a massive amount of change that would have to happen in the price of jade in a week to go from $1,000 to $400. You'd have to lose 50% of its value. Do you think jade is going to lose 50% of its value in a week? I don't think so. I really don't. And because I don't think that, then I would say that putting that $1,000 into a 2,200% APR for a week is probably a better way to make your money. And then even if jade does go down, you've still ultimately came out ahead with that 2,000% APR. Of course, if we were to put that instead into 1,000% APR, 1,100% APR, that did not include Jade at all, but included something like Crystal and Jewel and maybe USDT that would not go down in value so much, then maybe you would still end up getting $200. So the difference between that into a 2200 and a 1100% APR is $200 a week, just about. So if we're talking about $200 when we're talking about $1,000 worth of Jade, then we're talking about, do you think that Jade could go down by 20% in a week? Then I don't know. That gets a little bit more of a risky question. 20% would be like 4 cents. Do I think Jade could go down by 4 cents in a week this week? Probably. Do I think Jade could go down 4 cents this week, down to 21 cents? It's going to be rough, but it could happen. I'm a little skeptical on it dropping to 21 cents this week, though. So I still might end up putting it into the 2200% APR with Jade and just letting that ride. Because another thing that I'm going to think about is, even if Jade just does drop a little bit right now, I think in the long term, Jade's probably going to be over 20 cents. So as long as I'm comfortable holding it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, it probably would be good. It's a demand supply emissions equation. Yeah, it's a complex equation that has that's not really very easily, but yeah, it's not sustainable for long term. Yeah, we don't expect it to be sustainable. And so as long as we're aware of that, we have to take a lot of these moving parts into consideration. Absolutely right. Sabu says, preach, Rock. Absolutely. Of course, like I said, I can't give financial advice, and I could be way off in a lot of things. So if you get a spark of an idea from me, that's okay. But then vet it through your own filters, vet it through other people, and see what's going on. Bravo Slav says, leave a like, guys, for a chance to win a shiny bloater. All right, yeah, shiny bloater giveaways for people with likes. Happy I jumped in at the start and sustaining Gen0 Summons with locked alone. Yes, yeah. So if you have a good amount of locked, right? Really nice. I'm glad that I've got a little bit of locked in there as well. Hopefully y'all were able to put some money in and starting to get a good bag yourself. You're right, we need like 21 more likes, please. Oh man, there's a lot of people watching and very few likes on this video, huh? Let's see, Sir Mirror says, this hit me the other day. The quicker stamina recovery for higher levels doesn't really do a lot for players with a high hero count. You run heroes 24/7 anyway. Let me read that and think about that a little bit more. This hit me the other day. The quicker stamina recovers for higher levels doesn't really do a lot for players with high hero count. You run your heroes 24/7 anyway. Yeah, so I haven't really looked into the regeneration for that, for heroes. And I feel a little embarrassed that I haven't. So I do know that when we have heroes that are low in stamina, so this says it's full in 8 hours, and that's what I wanted to check. So it looks like to get full stamina or back up to 30, it still takes like 8 hours. Still takes the same 8 hours. So what are we saying here? I really haven't looked into the stamina recovery. Does it work in that heroes going mining are always still going to take 8 hours? It's just that the stamina recovers faster for heroes with higher levels and higher stamina. And so that means that someone with like a 60 stamina, and I know we don't have any, I don't think we have any characters out there with 60 stamina yet, but if we did have something out there with 60 stamina, then does that mean that they'll regain that full 60 stamina in 8 hours as well? So it's a faster gain per stamina point, but their full bar still takes 8 hours? Is that how that works? And if that's true, then you're absolutely right in that people with a lot of heroes, we've got bots running those anyway. So as soon as they get up to higher stamina, we're going to be running those, and the bots are sending those groups of heroes out together as groups in the most efficient way possible. And so for those of us with bots and with a lot of heroes then, yeah, probably doesn't matter too much about the quicker stamina recovery if it still takes 8 hours to get a full bar, right? I don't know if we're saying that. Rusted Trust, hey man, how are you doing? Long time no see. Welcome back in. Got 2 common miners, Zerk, Monk something. It's fine. Mostly did it for profession. Ah, gotcha. So unfortunately, my little extra boost of vibes doesn't seem like it helped. The vibes do be vibing, yeah. Let's see, Rusted Trust, it's all about the probabilities, and more people that come together to concentrate on one thing gives stronger probability of that thing. Yes, yeah, you're talking about the monks and all this kind of stuff, which is a really interesting thing. Personally, for me, I think that there's, well, let me put it this way, if we want to touch base on this topic just for another minute or two, and that is, I'm pretty sure that most of us on the planet Earth would agree that there are things that we humans don't understand yet, right? There are things outside of our realm of understanding yet. Science and maybe other things will eventually, we could eventually come to an understanding and a learning of some of these things that we don't understand yet. Kind of things like dark matter and whatever. We don't really fully understand what that is or if that even exists yet. I think I saw something recently that was saying, I was under the impression that dark matter was something that we had these days and we kind of knew it, but I read something recently that seemed to say that scientists had an idea of dark matter and were using dark matter as an idea for a placeholder, but they didn't really know if dark matter technically even existed. And then I saw something recently that said that maybe now scientists are disregarding the dark matter theory and saying that that's not what we have. We've got something totally different. And anyway, the point that I want to make there is that I think that there's all kinds of things that we do not understand about the way the universe works. Possibly stuff in multiple dimensions, the way that gravity behaves being a little bit different, and we don't fully understand how that works with quantum physics and all that kind of stuff. And so there's some weird stuff happening, and I can't help but think that there is something going on with whether you want to call it collective consciousness or global consciousness, or even something like prayer and spirituality. In the Christian Bible, there's a statement there that says, when 2 or more people come together in prayer on a specific topic, then that's almost, and I forget the verse right now, and I'm not going to go look it up, but you could look it up, and it's something like 2 or more people coming together in prayer, then this helps strengthen that prayer is going to be heard. And I know that sounds a little weird for that to be, but when I hear things like that, and then I also start to relate science of like the meditation and the monks kind of meditating, kind of like prayer, it makes me think that there's an aspect to our universe that we fully don't understand, that maybe when people do come together and think about things in groups, then we have a greater effect on some aspect of the universe that we don't really fully understand, right? And so I just feel like there's something out there that eventually we might find, but it's not black and white, and it's not in this third dimension realm that we see in our physical space. It's like gravity. Gravity, now some scientists are saying that gravity might extend through multiple dimensions. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but there's just this theory that gravity extends through multiple dimensions, and that's why gravity is so weak in our dimension here, as opposed to things like the strong force and the weak force, or whatever, the atomic bonds. Gravity is a really weak force compared to some of these other forces in the universe. And so there are scientists that are saying that, well, maybe that's because gravity is just as strong, but it's blurred out across multiple dimensions. And so our feeling of it in this dimension is a little different. Anyway, don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but the point is that maybe there's something where we only see a small aspect of it and we don't fully understand the rest of it. And so when we try to go into meditation or prayer or something like this and things don't come true, it's because we don't have that full understanding. And so we take a shot in the dark and we totally miss, because not all the other parts have aligned that need to align, right? I think something like that could be going on. Future actions affect the past. Yes, Star Trek did an episode on that in the first season. Exactly, right. So there is absolutely, I mean, that is a scientific thing that people are studying and looking into. And there have been some scientific research studies that already go down that path. If y'all want to look into that and research it, definitely it is a real thing. How true it is, don't know, but it's interesting. Maybe not first season. Yeah, I forget the episode too, but I do remember seeing something like that. Any advice on what to do with an order of 4,000 milkweed? Thank God it's not turning bad in the inventory. Oh my goodness. 4,000 milkweed. And when you say an order of it, you're saying that there's somebody out there trying to sell it, or are you trying to buy it, or is it in your inventory? So I would say 4,000 milkweed, that seems like a lot, but stamina potions are a thing, and I think stamina potions use milkweed, and milkweed's very rare right now. I would say, I mean, we could come and look. I'm sure you've already looked at the price of milkweed, right? So if we look at milkweed and jewel, crystal, let's look at milkweed and crystal. And we zoom out on this quite a bit, then it looks like right at this very moment, milkweed is kind of down in price. Although since 10th of December, it's been on the rise a little bit. I can't pull out more than this, which is a little unfortunate. Maybe if I go to 4-hour chart, is that going to do it for me? No, it looks like that's all I can do. But it looks like milkweed had been a lot higher back in September. Look at that. So guys, you tell me, why do you think milkweed is so lowly valued right now as opposed to a couple of months ago, when my thought was that we can't go harvest milkweed right now, can we? You've got to buy it I guess you buy it from the vendor, right? So if we come into let's just double check that I'm not talking out my butt here. If we come over here into the vendor, can you buy milkweed? Doesn't look like you can buy it there. Does this change on a regular basis, or is it just these items? Is there a way I can get to another page? Or is it we just buy what we buy? And if that's the case, I usually don't come to the vendor. Let's see. What if we go into Vibe's saying you sell it on the market, not the vendor. Yeah, so I think I am aware that you generally use the market, but what I'm really looking at is it something that you can do in the vendor? Like, can you buy it in the vendor, not sell it? Let's see. DFK chain. And then in the vendor. So I don't see it here either. No, I'm thinking of Swift. Oh, that's right. Swift Thistle is probably what I'm thinking of. That's right. So, yeah, which is now, which can now be forged in Serendale. That's true, absolutely right. So for milkweed, yeah, I mean, if there's a premium on that, and if we're looking right here, but I'm a little surprised that milkweed used to have a higher price on it, or higher cost value, and now it's so low. It has gone down though, yes, absolutely. I think it's gone down quite a bit. I know we need it for, okay, so here's my thought, and it probably has to do with me not knowing the answer to this very well. Of course, there's a lot of things I don't know the answer to, but probably a couple of things are triggering in my brain. I seem to remember that stamina potions were a lot more important in Crystal Vale and probably the original Serendale when they had the contest going, like the I even forget what they were called now, but the leaderboard stuff, right? In the castle, we had all that leaderboard stuff, and so people were doing a lot of stam potions back then for all that leaderboard. Yeah, tune fed leaderboard stuff, exactly. People were doing a lot of stam pots, and it seems, at least right now, that without that same leaderboard stuff, that maybe people aren't using stam potions quite as much as they were, and so for that reason, all the value of that's just dropped out. I mean, that's the only thing that comes to my mind. Some of y'all that actually play those other aspects of the game might know a little bit better than I do. So what are y'all using stam potions for? So I used stam potions recently to try to level up one of my Gen0s to get her to level 10 real quick. But other than that, I don't really use stam potions. I know that some people were trying to get their heroes leveled up a lot faster and I think when maybe PvP comes out, there might be a really big use. Some people, I think like Mythic Squad, Grady, and a couple of those other people who are trying to generate or be ahead of the game for PvP are probably using some stam potions to level up their heroes to get them up to level 15 and 20 really fast, also in advance of PvP. But I think for the most part, we're not stam potting our heroes. So let's see, I think it was Remnella. Yeah, so we just got her up to level 10 using stam pots. And so now, her being level 10, gets that extra set of Gaia tiers that we can bring in. That was really important. The next hero I need to do that with is probably Galena or probably Harlsalt next, because that's my Seer, and matching that Seer with this Berserk is really going to be a little bit better. It's already fairly close to level 8. It's going to take a lot of stam potions to go up through level 8 and through level 9, though. Man, do not look forward to that. That could be fairly expensive to do. Let's see. Still better than the vendor prices? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, vendor sometimes has good stuff. I know there's a page, Grady talks about it a lot on his stream. Speaking of Grady, we've got about 30 more minutes of this stream left, and then remember, YouTube has Grady with Ogre on Crypto Grady's stream, so we can't forget that. And then later tonight, About Life Podcast is doing something too. So keep that in mind for your future viewing tonight. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of stam pots to get up there. I think Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms has, let's see, market data. Sign in. And I don't pay for this on a regular basis. I probably should. You know, when I can pay for this kind of stuff through Cdual, I feel like it'll be just more easily integrated when you can pay for things with Cdual and stuff. But there is some market analysis information that's more fully revealed when you pay, I think. And there are some things that you can see differently here. In fact, I don't know if, I guess here vendor discount in Serendale stuff has question marks, but you can see those if you pay for it. And you can see the difference between what you can get from the trader and then what you can get from the vendors in these things, right? If you are doing that, if you're that into the prices of items, I would strongly, strongly encourage that you check out Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. And I'm just going to drop the link in here. I think most everyone who's watching my chat right now is already way familiar with this. But for any new people coming in, or if you're just lurking out there and you haven't heard of this, Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms really has a good way to tell, are you getting a better deal from the trader, or are you getting a better deal from the vendor in a lot of things? And so it is a paid for feature for most of that, or for some of that, some aspects of it. But Grady talks about that a lot on his stream, and it does seem to look like a really good tool to get that information from. Because sometimes that changes, right? Sometimes it's better to do something in the trader, sometimes it's better to do things in the vendor, sometimes it's better to build your own, sometimes it's better just to buy, sometimes it's better to build those stam potions individually yourself, sometimes it's better just to buy the stam potions. Let's see. I think I'm all caught up in chat. Is that it? Oh, I can't believe it. Nice. All right, we're all caught up in chat. So let's get back over here to this thing. We did Market Watch. We haven't done spreadsheet. We haven't updated the spreadsheets today. I think I'm just going to do that later because there are some other things. Sergeant, I don't know if you're still here, but you had a question earlier that we want to get to. And of course, also, we want to check everyone's Discords, specifically DeFi Kingdoms announcement Discord. Let's talk about the last few things from the AMA today. We talked about pet functionality. We talked about surplus of fees to the team. We talked about the stronger team. We talked about auto questing coming. We talked about AMAs. Mentioned again, this is the second week in a row that they've been mentioning that they're probably going to move to AMAs every other week. I think that's fine. One thing that I think that would really help the team, and one of the things that the dev team even mentioned to some of us that went to Decentral, they had kind of a private meeting with us. I don't know if y'all remember that, when there was a little time period where I wasn't streaming during Decentral. And I wouldn't say that they dropped any alpha during that, but the mood of the conversation was just not something that you'd necessarily want to stream, right? Kind of like a around the dinner table family thing. You don't necessarily want a camera in your face for that, you know, Christmas dinner and with family, and you've got a webcam streaming in your face. Not necessarily want that kind of thing. It's just not the right tone for it. So anyway, but there wasn't really any alpha. It was just like, hey, here's some stuff going on, and here's what we'd like to see. And one of the things that they said that they would like to see is we content creators putting out good content, and maybe even more regularly. And they were asking, how can they as a dev team help us to do that better? And there were some suggestions and things mentioned. But one of the things that I took away from that little meeting at Decentral goes back to something that maybe we can help them out with here. It doesn't really matter too much if the dev team is going to have every other week AMAs, even though we would love to hear from the dev team every week. If the dev team could put out like a news release of certain things, certain bits of information, and then we, the content creators, could pick up on that. I mean, imagine instead of me having to listen to an AMA, or all of us listening to an AMA, then maybe the dev team would keep up a spreadsheet. In fact, let me see if I even have it here, like this. What if the dev team had something like this this Serendale 2.0 launch checklist going on all the time. I don't know if they're already doing, I don't want to give them more work than they're already doing, but if they are already putting together spreadsheets where they're putting their work, where they're keeping track of their own work in something like this, then we as content creators, like they wouldn't have to do an AMA talking about here's where we stand with this, here's what's upcoming, here's where things are. We could even see how this is working and completing. And then if there were questions, that's where you would go to talk.defykingdoms.com. You'd post questions. They could give answers into there. And then we as the content creators, Grady, myself, Mythic Squad, Christian Peter, Bogside Chats, all these other people could get in there and say, all right, this is what we see, this is what we're reading, this is what the dev team have said, this is the stuff that's coming out. And then we could be presenting that just as well. As long as we are taking the correct information that's been given, then I think that would help them out as well. So for them to move to every other week AMA, don't think that's bad. As long as we're getting good content out, I think that is fine. One thing that I would like to see from the dev team is maybe a little bit more something like this sheet where we can see the progress, and we can then, as content creators, we can report on that just like you would in an AMA. You'd report on the progress. We could do that same thing. And then also answering some questions in talk.defykingdoms.com. So I know that Bullen on occasion has mentioned that even if we don't, like his quote is, even if we don't reply to all these things, we do read everything there. Well, my next thing would be like, yeah, if you're gonna read everything there, if you don't have time to answer those questions, maybe somebody on the dev team does. And then we content creators could go out and say, this is the official answer to all these questions. Like, I absolutely would not mind. In fact, I could even say it would give me more content. And I had to pause there for a minute because it's like, I have plenty of content that takes me, I mean, here we're coming up on we're past 2.5 hours already, and I haven't even done the spreadsheets that I wanted to do. I haven't looked at the DFK discords or all the other discords that I wanted to do. I haven't done any of that stuff, and we've been talking for 2.5 hours. Of course, I get sidetracked on a lot of other things. Maybe if I had a bulleted list of things to talk about, I'd be a little bit more on track. But I had this bulleted list today, and I still got off track. Maybe another content creator could be a little bit more on track with that though. And that's why I would tune into them, because they're more concise. I think y'all tune into me because you get the randomness for hours and hours a day, and it's just like whatever comes up, and we just go with the flow, right? Feeling those vibes. But what I'm getting at there is, if the dev team would reply to a couple of those questions, then we could reply, or we could respond to that. And for content creators that needed more content, if you're running out of content, then certainly I think it's important. In fact, I really do want to, I do want to talk more about what's being discussed on the talk.defykingdoms.com. I just don't have enough hours in the day to do everything that I want to do. But that would be a really important thing. So if any of y'all want to get in there, like Zabu, I mean, that'd be a great thing for you to do. Like Zabu, Low Tech, who are some other people that put out a little bit of content on a regular basis? I know About Life Podcast is doing some things, but looking over, reading over the talk.defykingdoms.com stuff, I think would be a great bit of content, and it would be a very valuable service to the community, because I haven't even read over all that stuff, and there is good information in there that I want to be keeping up with. And for some reason, watching a video on YouTube, or at least listening to a video on YouTube in the background, if you had a good content creator that would read over all that stuff, not only the original comments from the original posters, but all the suggestions for the other people, and whether they're getting thumbs up or thumbs down, all that kind of stuff. If I could listen to that in the background while I do other things, that would be some really good content. I would be tuning in for that as well. Sabu says, great idea. I've been thinking about that. I'd like to keep in touch, keep in line with the official DFK team also would be a good point to point users to official answers. Exactly right. Yeah, I would love to see the dev team reply more specifically to some of those things. And if Bullen and Risen and Frisky Fox and Hubert and the rest of the more core team doesn't have the time to do that, which I can totally respect, then maybe get someone else on the team, or even knights or mods that you give these answers to directly, that could go in and fill in these answers. But it would have to be really answers from the dev team directly, and not just, because I know that sometimes mods and knights have gotten answers wrong, and I'm not sure necessarily why that is. So it would definitely have to be something directly from the dev team, just like a copy and paste of that stuff. But I think that would be really helpful to the community. And it would also allow the dev team to maybe not have to worry about AMAs every week too. Although dev team, I do really love, I'm sure everyone loves the AMAs directly from y'all. Also, something that y'all probably heard Bullen say in the AMA today, quote, DFK will not forget, I don't think he used the word us, but like players maybe? I forget what it was, but ultimately, DFK will not forget us on Christmas. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm sure most of y'all picked that up as well, right? So I'm going to suspect that we get a little something in our Christmas stocking. I'm not expecting too much, right? And I wouldn't be disappointed if it's even just a bloater, right? It's just kind of fun. I do think we're going to be getting a little something, and I think that's fun. In fact, tell you what I'm going to do. I might even go back and look at everyone who's liked my videos for this last week and maybe give like 4 of my little tickets. We haven't been doing that in a while, and I'm aware of that. We are going to get back onto it soon, but maybe I'll give 4 of my reward tickets to every single person who has liked the videos for maybe the last couple of days all the way up to Christmas. So maybe like the last 1 or 2 days, and then for the next 3 days too. Just a little thank you reward for that. And then that will help y'all win some of the pets in the next pet giveaways. Panga Panga, hey, welcome on in. How are you doing? Great to see you here. Sergeant Filthy Nasty, are you still lurking around? If you are, I'll answer your question here about Crystal Vale, Serendale garden launch lessons that I've learned. If anyone else has lessons that they've learned, you can post those in chat. And I will get to this if Sergeant is still here. Since Sergeant specifically had this question, if Sergeant isn't here right now, I'll probably just go ahead and address this tomorrow on tomorrow's stream. Otherwise, we still have plenty of things we can do for content. One of those is updating spreadsheets. We've only got 15 more minutes in the stream, so I don't know if I want to do that right now. But let's check out some Discord stuff and just see what's going on in Discord. Make sure that we're all up to speed. So in DeFi Kingdoms, announcements. There are some new announcements that I don't think I've read yet or heard. Oh, even this one. Oh my goodness. So this was put out 2 days ago, and I meant to look into this. Risen has, I think, a short little video about something going on with maybe some kind of giveaway for Christmas or something like that. So definitely look into that. I don't really know what it is. I think I need to look at a Twitter post probably. And we can take a quick look at that, but this is a good reminder for me to look at that. Also, Tilt-Proof Tuesdays, I think I missed it altogether. I mean, it's Thursday now, so I missed out on this. Hopefully y'all are looking at the announcements and getting in on Tilt-Proof Tuesday every Tuesday as well. Let's see, I also missed this. So I know that we had a release yesterday, and oh my goodness, there are some cool things that we saw, right? One of the cool things that I noticed in the gears is we've got this new audio section in here, which we can, mute and do stuff with our audio. We can change volume levels of the effects and the music and the UI and all that kind of stuff. And that was one of the very first things I noticed, just playing around in here. And also I saw something out in the inventory. The inventory looks really cool now too, with the way that we can kind of sort things or show different items with stuff. I thought that was really cool. I'm sure y'all have already seen all that, so it's nothing new. But I just stumbled upon it the other day. So let's read and see what is actually in the announcements. Good Kingdom Release Day. We've got a collection of shiny new features coming your way today and many more in the pipeline. Check them out. So the hero card data treasure trove. So a lot more in the hero card. And in fact, I saw some people talking about the fact that we now have tainted heroes available. I don't think I have any tainted heroes. I think there's a little mark in the upper left of your heroes these days. Let's see if let's just reset all of this stuff together. So do I have any tainted heroes myself? Looks like not in that batch. If we go to the tavern, agent, buy heroes, and then do we have a way to look at tainted heroes also now? Gender, shiny, attributes, professions, elements, backgrounds. No, it does not look like we have a way to look for tainted heroes specifically. So again, I don't know how we would find out a bunch of those or see those very quickly, the quickest way to see those. But I do seem to know. Does anyone have a hero ID number of one that we could look at? But we should see a new little mark on the hero cards for heroes that are tainted. And by that, I think most of us know that we mean heroes that are the original Gen 0s from original Serendale, numbered 1 through 19. They started off with some transcendent abilities in their genes underneath the hood, and that caused some problems. And then offspring from those Gen 0s, number 1 through 19, were then tainted, right? Probably we're not going to see a bunch of those here in the tavern. But it's good to see that now they are marking that, I think, as well. Like tainted genes, I think when we get down to that part, it'll be talked about there. But let's continue to read on. If there's any doubt how deep the hero genes can get, this feature should help alleviate that notion. Additional pages on the back of each hero card will now show you a whole slew of data compared, including hero primary abilities, game genes, visual genes, hero recessive game genes, hero recessive visual genes, summoning history, with additional information coming soon. That is going to be amazing. I'm glad that we have access to all that in the game now, even though we've had it through some of these third-party tools for a while now. It's really good to see that the game itself is starting to include some of this stuff. Hover over any attribute in the list to see its name, value, rarity, if applicable. And in addition, the hero dex will let you select the hero data page if you want to view all hero cards, so you can compare dominant and recessive stats to find that perfect hero combination. And that's, of course, something that we want to be doing also. Having all this data available in-game should make it much easier to manage heroes all in one place, which of course we like as well. One final update to this batch includes renaming genes on the front end that were previously labeled Transcendent as Exalted. Woo, nice. I'm glad that they renamed that properly, because I think what we're going to see later on down the road, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, or fill me in if you don't think this is true, but I absolutely think that we are ultimately going to see a a Dread Knight matched with something else on this other side. We've got Seer, Berserker, Scholar, and Legionnaire, and then of course we've got the Bard and the Spellbow. Well, when we get the other couple of realms, we're going to have a Dread Knight matched with something else to have even a tier above that, right? And we just don't see it right now, but there's going to be something even above the Dread Knight. I think the thought of that has been around for a while now, and I think it's becoming more and more clear. Speculation is a battle mage or something. Yeah, could be. Don't know. And of course, I'm just even right now, I guess I can't guarantee that there'll be something above a Dread Knight, but it seems more and more likely all the time that that's the way that the game is headed, right? And so, because there was that misnamed thing, it kind of confused the Transcendent and Exalted sections. So I'm glad that they did rename that rather than just saying, oh, we got to live with it. To align the intended catalog for those appendages and hairstyle rarities, the current class and the ability rarities. Great. That's fantastic. I'm glad y'all renamed that. The API will be updated to reflect those changes in the near future. Then, of course, the tainted genes we talked about a few minutes ago. As part of these genetic exploration, we have begun the process. Okay, so not even finished, but they've begun the process of identifying heroes who may be subject to re-rolling certain genes that have been tainted on the original 19 heroes in Serendale, they say 1.0. A badge will be displayed on the hero data page. It should highlight the affected genes in red. Nice, really like that. Zabu says, Hubert answered me, but he said it is way off, aka Bread Night. Oh no. So one of the things, I'm not surprised that Hubert said it's way, way, way off. And the reason is because you know how long it took us to get Crystal Veil with the Seer and the Berserker, and then how much longer it took us to get Clayton blockchain, Serendale, with the next two. Well, we're going to need 2 more realms. So how long, how far out is 2 more realms? I know at one point the dev team had said we're planning to put out a new realm every 6 months. That would mean that in 1 year from now, we would probably have the other 2 realms out and the other 4 required basic classes to do that. However, you've also heard me say recently that even though the dev team had said in the past, they had made a comment that they were expecting a new realm every 6 months. I think a couple of AMAs ago, there was a little bit of retraction from that. They were saying we're not in a hurry to release realms quite as quickly. And with that being said, now maybe they're not thinking about releasing every 6 months. I still think they would probably release a realm at least once a year. And if that's true, then maybe we're talking, or maybe we'd be looking at the match to the Dread Knight, the pairing with the Dread Knight sometime in 2 years from now. So yes, way off. I would say any time between 1 and 2 years is probably what we're looking at. I don't think it's going to be less than a year, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer than 2 years. So I would say between 1 and 2 years, we should have our match for the Dread Knight. Yep, Gen 0s would be a drop in new realms. Absolutely right. Yep. Guys, we've got about 8 more minutes on this stream, and then we're going to go watch Crypto Grady and Ogre on his stream. That's coming up. I think their stream starts in about 8 minutes. So let's see. Unfortunately, the process of identifying tainted genes is somewhat manual at the moment. Wow, that's rough. I'm surprised you wouldn't have created a script that would collect all the heroes and what their offspring are, but if it's manual, I guess it's what it is. So newly summoned heroes may not show the tainted badge until we update all in our API. For the time being, looking at the prospect, summoning heroes should help determine whether a tainted gene is possible. A real-time solution for showing tainted gene heroes is already in progress. So, like I said, just a little bit longer. They'll probably have everything done soon. Just be careful for that kind of thing right now. New UI and sounds and sound menus. I have noticed some of those new sounds. As you load up the game, you may notice the world and interface sound a whole lot more, well, full of sound. Big props to Sam and our sound team designers for helping populate the world with an absolute smorgasbord of aural delights. And if you prefer the sound of silence, head to the new sound settings menu and adjust the master volume, music volume, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so maybe you're more of a music person. No shame in that. Yeah, indeed. So very cool. Self says, can anyone get on DFK Expert? I couldn't last night. Kept getting a login into WordPress. So I was on there just now, right? So DFK Expert, let me refresh this page. Ooh, wow. Huh. So I just rugged myself. I was on there, but not anymore. All right. So it looks like something's going on there. Oop. Now I think he password gated it. So do you think specifically? So I've not been in DFK general chat on Discord for a while. I know Stronghold was in there a day or two ago talking about something. Of course, Stronghold seems to be in there quite a bit. Has anyone been hanging out in general chat for DeFi Kingdoms and has picked up on something that Stronghold has said that he would specifically try to password protect that? Because, I mean, I could see that he might eventually start to want to monetize that. I could also see that at some point maybe he would want to give his own guild or a guild that he's in better access to the tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, just as an advantage for the guild. But he just doesn't seem like that type of person that would do that, at least right now, with us being so far out from PvP and guilds and all that kind of stuff. So I think more likely it's something like something crashed, didn't pay for hosting service, or something else happened. And TuneFit says, I don't think he made any official announcement. Yeah, so because there was no official announcement also, I would tend to think that it's just kind of an accident, and maybe we just need to send him a message saying, hey, man, do you realize that this is going on? Because maybe he doesn't, I doubt he doesn't realize it, but maybe he hasn't seen it yet or doesn't realize it yet. I don't know. But I use DFK Expert every day, so now that I just nuked myself with it, then maybe I should reach out to him as well. Plus, the site is linked in the castle, so I don't. So I think something happened. Yeah, probably something did happen, because if we go to the castle and look in there for what am I trying to look at here? I don't even know where to click on this stuff. It's land. Is it down in here? Jester? That's not it. Archivist. There we go. And DFK Expert and view now. Yeah. So I think that something's weird just going on with that. Drama happened. I do I do, not sure I wanted to get into that. I thought I saw some interesting chat going on, was it yesterday, the day before? I don't know if Stronghold was a part of that chat or not, but I did think I saw some chat that I definitely did not want to get involved in. And I was like staying out, some drama stuff. Like I said, I do not know if Stronghold was involved in that. I did see Stronghold talking in chat, but he could have been talking about something totally different as well. I saw Bullen in there also, and at the same time, and I know Bullen probably was not involved in that, in what looked to me like drama, a little bit of drama going on in there. Let's see. TuneFed says, that's what do you think it has to do with it? TuneFed, really, the drama that I might have seen in Discord a day or two ago? Are you really thinking that's what's going on? It's fine, ADFK never gonna rug us. That's good. That would be sad if he pulled it for some kind of, excuse me. It would be sad if he kind of pulled it for some kind of drama reason stuff. Anyway, guys, that is the end of my stream. Guys, Grady is going to be starting any minute with Ogre, and so we want to be prepared for that. It's supposed to start any minute now, so we can say hello. Looks like some of y'all are already in here. Zabu, Ghost Panda, DJ, or Dr. J. Sweet. So y'all get on in here right now and just be ready for this. I'm in my stream. Go ahead and hop over in here into Grady's stream. I'll drop the link into chat just in case for some reason you just want to click on a link. Until then, I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good morning, evening, whatever meridian it is for you. Thanks for being here and hanging out with me today. Until then, rock out.